Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subject 220727.4. Usually when an inmate resembles another, they get a suitable nickname. Today though, the inmates took it one step further by sticking their hands together up this new inmate's bottom. This will make more sense soon, I promise. It was quite the mess. Hello everyone, welcome to the Halls of Injustice. Today we welcome inmate's number, something that I've completely forgotten, my apologies, to the ISO cubes. His name is Beaker of the Muppets, a name given to this particular inmate because of the uncanny resemblance to the obviously lovable rogue that is Beaker. Owing to a lack of time on my part, we're not going to have transition little bits, we're just going to go straight into who he is, where he got the name from, what he has done, and what his sentence is. Because this one's quite amusing, and it's amusing because his crimes go back to 2017 when he first got the name Beaker. His real name is Louis Maxwell from Gwent in Wales. Based on the number of criminals we've had from Wales of late, I'm inclined to believe Wales has become the equivalent to Florida man. And if at any point that offended you, sucks to be you, I'm English, we've suffered enough, get wrecked, sod off, you prats. In 2017, Metro published an article titled "Police Hunt Fugitive Who Looks Like Sideshow Bob and Beaker from the Muppets." Louis Maxwell, his name's spelled differently now, should hand himself in quickly if he wants to avoid further abuse after his mugshot was released by the police. In this instance, the police had wanted to speak with Beaker because he had breached a court order. Facebook users saw the photo and, well, yeah, no, they started this, okay? Last seen in Springfield, last seen on The Simpsons, he's mate with Krusty the Clown. I think his alias is Bob, along with also pointing out he looks like Beaker. Another thing many have pointed out as a questionable aspect is that, according to him, he's 30. Based on that photo, it's been a hard knock life. That article was tied in with another article, which was written on the 11th of July 2022. Boss mocked for looking like Beaker from the Muppets spent £50,000 worth of COVID loan on crack. Sherbet, for those who don't know. We won't be using the real names on this channel, and of course this is 100% satirical. Beaker does look like someone that does sherbet, as does Louis Maxwell, or Louis Maxwell, I don't know which. Now, a COVID loan, for those who don't know, during 2020 and 2021, the UK government was scrambling to think of a way of helping the people after it initiated lockdowns. Furlough was created, the self-employment income support scheme for those who were not able to claim furlough or universal credit. Universal credit was of course available as well, but that's state welfare, that's available for everyone. Well, almost. The other was that major businesses were able to, borrow from the government who were already borrowing from other people via guilt in the first place. But it's okay everyone, the UK has a strong economic plan. Totally. That's why inflation's at an all-time high. Now when it comes to Beaker, the issue Beaker had was times were tough for the Muppets. They were all in lockdown after all. You can't just rely on Miss Picky domestically abusing Kermit every day, which is what it was. Don't try me. In the case of Beaker though, he's a bit part. So he needed to be able to exercise his demons in a way that could allow him to remain creative. And what better way than to take money from the taxpayer and use it to buy £50,000 worth of sherbet, which is about half a kilo's worth of sherbet. Not a bad haul. As this is a business loan, one does have to wonder, did Beaker then use it as an enterprise to then better, let's say, enhance one's community by providing a service through that business? Or did those profits get snorted away? Now, I know the answer is obvious, but I do think we all need to take a time to reflect on the nature of capitalism, as it is quite important. And even the Muppets, after all these years on television, they need to relax. And what better way to relax than by looking like you do on television by snorting vast amounts of sherbet. Yup. By the way, if I've got the math wrong on how much £50,000 was, based on it being $103 US, I don't care, alright? I'm taking the piss, don't be so pedantic. So Louis Lewis Maxwell, aka Beaker, age 35. See where I have the spelling issue? The first article spelt it Lewis? Okay. Had applied to the government's bounce back loan scheme to help his tow truck business survive lockdown. He used half the grant on a new truck. Also, it was 1/4 of a kilo, but splashed the rest on Class A sherbet. Maxwell then later sold the newly purchased vehicle in order to buy even more sherbet. Oh, so it was half a kilo. The 35-year-old had previously hit the headlines after he was mocked for looking like Beaker from the Muppets after the police posted his mugshot to social media. Sherbet is quite addictive, I've heard. So it's understandable that a £25,000 tow truck would not sate his hunger, especially as the point of that loan was to help you during lockdown. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, it did help you. £50,000 helped you get through lockdown. How's your septum looking, though? Do you still have one? Or would you like another bounce-back loan to perhaps get a replacement? Might I recommend one made out of, I don't know, Kevlar? Maybe tungsten if you're feeling especially tough. In court, Maxwell's barrister Carl Williams described his client as having the most extreme addiction to sherbet that he'd ever come across, stating that the £50,000 government loan was spent on sherbet. Now, what makes this additionally quite fascinating is, at the time of buying that new pickup truck, and while using a Jeep Cherokee and trailer for business, Beaker was banned from driving, so Beaker couldn't use the car anyway. You know, some stories just get better and better. This is one of those times. This is too much fun, but I'm going to keep doing this now because we're balls deep right now. Like his inmates were earlier when they were using him as a puppet. Hence the captain's log, yes. Anyway, Cardiff Crown Court heard the 35-year-old had once led the police on a high-speed chase through Newport city centre and was only stopped when his tyres were shredded by a stinger device. When he was stopped, the police found crack sherbet on him. Unpronounceable Bennett, the prosecutor, said that he told officers he was a crackhead and that the drugs were his own personal use. I see the prosecution didn't hold back any punches. So how did this all end for Beaker? Beaker of Newport pled guilty to conspiracy to supply sherbet between the 24th of October 2020 and the 4th of February 2021. He also admitted to burglary, dangerous driving, driving while disqualified, failing to stop, failing to provide a specimen, driving without insurance, and possession of sherbet. Sugar is of course a narcotic and therefore haram. I wonder how many of you thought that when we got to him driving without the ability to do so, i.e. being banned, that it couldn't get any better. I should have said hold my beer, shouldn't I? It is currently believed that £27 billion had been fraudulently claimed or borrowed from the UK government during COVID, and it is believed that the vast majority of that, because of what the UK government is doing, will never be repaid. A goodwill gesture, I guess, for the intrepid philanthropists like Beaker, who only wanted to be able to get through lockdown. That's all he wanted. Louis Lewis Maxwell, aka Beaker, aka inmate, I've forgotten which number it is at this point, found guilty of conspiracy to supply sherbet. And I guess by extension all the other ones of burglary, dangerous driving, driving while disqualified, failing to stop, failing to provide a specimen, driving without insurance, and possession of sherbet, was sentenced, oh yes he was sentenced, don't you worry folks, to 46 months in prison. 46 months. 3 years and 10 months. Poor Beaker, man, he's gonna be out of work. How's this poor 30... He's a year younger than me and he looks like shit. What a prick. Get in your cell, you absolute thunder peasant. I can't say the word I wanted to say then. You know the word. Starts with C and rhymes with runt. But for the sake of it, we're just going to call Beaker a bit of a prat. Ta-ta, everyone.